Our first pack of the CulticCube opens us up with a couple of different options. We have this Entomb if we want to go into the Reanimator strategy. We have a couple solid Tempo and Aggro cards, but I'm going to take what I think is objectively the most powerful card in this pack, which is the Survival of the Fittest. We have a couple of different lands that we could take, which are pretty powerful. I'm also eyeing this Counterspell, though it doesn't really fit with our Survival of the Fittest. So ultimately, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Arid Mesa, just to keep us open and see what we get in pursuing packs. We're seeing a couple different lands here, which are all solid options, but I also see this Snapcaster Mage and this Mana Leak, which are both very solid blue cards. I'm a little bummed I didn't take the Counterspell last pack, but I'm happy with my Arid Mesa pick. I'm going to take the Snapcaster Mage. There's lots of cards for us in this pack. We could take something like Sour of Temptation to stay in blue. We have Banishing Light and Doomblade for removal, or Inquisition of Kozilek for early game disruption. But I really like this Chandra Awakened Inferno. It's just a really great top end for possibly a blue-red control deck. Continuing on with that theme, I really like being proactive rather than reactive in this cube. So I could take this Power Sink, but I'm looking more towards something like Angel of Sanctions, which can provide a proactive answer to us. Out of this pack, I really like the Council's Judgment, the Polluted Delta, and the Walking Ballista. I would take the Fetch Land if there is only one cycle of Fetch Lands in this cube, but since there's two, I'm looking to one of the other two spells. I think I'm going to take the Council's Judgment, even though I'm light and white so far. This could push me more in that direction. I don't love any of the cards in this pack, but Hoatli's pretty good Planeswalker that generates some solid value and puts presence on the board, so I'll take that. We might be a blue-white-red control or planeswalker-y deck here. I think I'm going to take this Elspeth, as I really like the value and the recursion that it provides. The fact that this Oblivion Ring came back around to us is a pretty solid sign, so I'm happy to take it. I'm split on this pick. I'm going to take the Is It Charm, as we might be a blue-white-red deck still. I don't love Realm Cloak Giant, but we don't yet have a sweeper, so I'm going to take that. I'm not particularly sold in any direction, but I think this Control Magic is just a fantastic all-around card. I have an interesting choice here. I could take a small counterspell like Quench, or I could take the Day of Judgment since we only have one Wrath so far, and I usually want to get about 2 or 3 in this deck. And then the Wooded Foothills also presents us an option which gets any red land, which hopefully we'll get some more dual lands later in this draft. I am going to take the land since we're pretty light on lands to this point. We have a Thraben Inspector, which is a road bump against the aggro decks. This Grasp of Fate, which is pretty solid permanent removal. Another Wooded Foothills, another top-end Planeswalker. I'm not necessarily in love with anything in this pack. I'm going to play the Chandra. I like Shatter the Sky, but we still have a couple Wraths that could wheel around to us. This Blade Splicer is really solid against aggro, which would be one of our weaker matchups. We're pretty heavy into the Planeswalker theme, so I'm just going to take this Gideon Jura. Merfolk Looter and Sunlance are fine, but I'm going to take the Secure the Waste as a scalable threat. I'm going to take Daze, because I've been very impressed with it in this cube. I'm going to stick it on our sideboard for now. Just in case we start getting more islands, it will become more playable. We see a second Oblivion Ring effect, but we already have Oblivion Ring, Council's Judgment, and Angel of Sanction, so I'm not sure that I need it. Speculative pick here would be Stoneforge Mystic, and the only real target for Stoneforge Mystic in this cube is Batterskull, so I'm going to take it and hope that we wheel into a Batterskull. Normally I would hate draft a card like Ash Zealot, but since we don't play the players in this pod, I'm going to take the Scour All Possibilities. The Day of Judgment wheeled back around to us, and while I can see myself taking the Sweltering Suns, because I think it's a little bit better than Slagstorm since it has cycling, I'm going to go ahead and take the Day of Judgment. Wooded Foothills and Thraben Inspector made their way back to us. I'm going to take the Wooded Foothills. Both Jaces, the Fractured Identity, and the Hallowed Fountain are incredibly playable in our deck. I'm going to take the Jace the Mind Sculptor and hope the Hallowed Fountain wheels. We just took a better 4-mana Jace, so we don't really need this one. Teferi's really good, but we have a bunch of 5 and 6 mana walkers. I think this Abrade for some early interaction is really what our deck needs at this point. Man, we are digging really deep here. I think I'm going to take this Gideon Ally of Zendikar. We're just going full degenerate Planeswalkers deck today. We're in desperate need of lands, so the Savai Triome, which gets fetched by all 3 of our lands and hits 2 of our colors, is an excellent pick. We're choosing between an on-color Triome and the Volcanic Island, which is more powerful, so that's our pick. Declaration in Stone is fine early game interaction. I'm not in love with it, but we need a little bit more of that. While we're a blue-white-red deck, we don't have that many instants or sorceries, so this Thing in the Ice is not that great. I'm going to take the Ugin as a high-impact permanent. I don't love Giant Killer, so I might take this Mystical Tutor. Predictably, we only got the Hallowed Fountain back to us, but I'm pretty happy to see it at this point. We have a bunch better walkers than this Jace, but we could keep going deeper into the theme, or we could take this Tithe Taker or this Anticipate. I'm going to take the Tithe Taker to shore up against aggro. It might stay in our sideboard, but that's fine. Flames with the Firebrand is pretty solid removal, and you can get cute with how you're pinging away things, so I'll take that. So here's what we're ending up on. I want to call out a couple cards that I cut. First of all, this Stoneforge Mystic. Obviously, we did not hit the Batterskull or any other powerful equipment, so this isn't going to be relevant. I cut the 6-mana Chandra Flamecaller because I thought both Chandra Awakened Inferno and Ugin the Ineffable were better, and we didn't need 3 6-mana Planeswalkers. I cut the Elspeth Sun's Champion because I thought Gideon Ally of Zendikar filled that role better, and we also had Jace the Mind Sculptor at the 4-mana slot, as well as 2 Wraths and a Control Magic, though this might come in the sideboard. I also cut Gideon of the Trials because I felt it didn't really fit with the theme of our deck, so this is where we ended up. I'm pretty happy with this configuration, and I'm excited to see it put in some work.